There's a lot of obvious bullshit to the things that people said to me regarding Jonathan Ross, that he didn't have enough time to get out in front of, the vehicle. As he was walking towards the vehicle, she had the vehicle in reverse, meaning that he moved himself in front of the vehicle in order to take the shot in the first place. While he was wrapping around the other side of it, his her partner said some things to him that kind of taunted him and mocked him, as we can see in the unedited video. But there was no reason for him to place himself in front of the vehicle in the first place. He had, you know, about 20, no, not even like 20 seconds, but 10 seconds before, she started to move. He had plenty of warning that she was, about to try to maneuver in the direction that she was moving in, and he still put himself in front of the vehicle because, for whatever reason, he had this idea that, we have a right to stop and detain whoever, we want. But one argument I did hear was that she was obstructing a federal investigation, except, the truth of the matter is that this is a person that decided and thought better than to obstruct it after getting there for about 10 seconds and decided it was just better to leave the scene. And so she decided to leave, and so that argument just kind of falls flat in its face. I don't have any sympathy for the officer. Did he have internal bleeding and everything from it? How do I know that he doesn't like to take it up the ass, and that this is not a pre-existing condition to the scene, of the crime? I don't know that. I can't know that. And as disingenuous and, as offensive as what I'm suggesting happens to be, the fact of the matter is that it truthfully, I know it sounds like I'm trolling to put that in context and to say that, but, it is a legitimate possibility. Maybe the man is gay. Maybe he likes to take it up there. We don't know. We don't know what the cause of his injuries were. So, to jump to the conclusion, ultimately, without good hard science coming in and saying, that the vehicle was the one that actually caused that injury, that is a leap to conclusions about the whole thing. But I saw the same video that the rest of you did, and as far as I'm concerned, he approached the vehicle, when it was backing up, meaning that she was giving him clear, warning that she was about to drive off, and he still approached the damn vehicle. So, you know what? Fuck him. He got what he deserved. In fact, the fact that he's even still alive means he didn't get quite as much justice as he deserves. The fact that he didn't die there means justice hasn't been served. And as far as y'all are concerned, it really, it is, to put it mildly, this channel is not run by somebody that really has a lot of respect for authority and the institutions of all this stuff. I don't like people having power over me. It's not something that I particularly enjoy at all. So much so that when, I was picked on as a child, I learned to enjoy the pain of all of it, the emotional pain of it as a way to rebel against my peers in that situation. So, you come in here and you talk trash about me, you call me a beta, but, there's a great and grand irony to all of it, but because, all the people leaving these kinds of comments are a bunch of conservative bootlickers, you're the submissive ones. As far as I'm concerned, I have always been a rebellious mutineer and always will be. And as to all this hypothesizing about, first of all, we have the wolf studies that show that, wolves just move in families, and that whole alpha wolf thing happened to be bullshit, and they are an even less social species, even if they are social than we are. Their social orders are far less complex than ours are, so this idea that it transfers is clearly bullshit as well. But, imagine a world in which, there were a bunch of betas and alphas and, the whole male, spectrum of sigmas and all this worked and everything. And imagine that was the historical past of the human race. Just process this, imagine this for a while. What makes any of you dumb fucks think that the, quote, beta males would take that shit lying down? Especially given what we know about the person who runs this particular channel being such a rebellious little shit at the end of the day, and who has absolutely no respect for authority, is the spirit of defiance itself, and basically does whatever, and says and does whatever the fuck I happen to want to do, in absolute mutiny against the world and all authority. So it leaves an open question to me, for all this. If what makes men, given everything we know about male violence, think that the beta males in that sort of social hierarchy would put up with the alpha males? If you were right, we would have to be submissive to them, because if that had been the historical truth going back through the past, as one of the people that people keep insisting is a beta, I would have just reached out and found the other beta males, and then we would have gone alpha hunting. And I mean, we would put them in the ground, killing them, murder. And also, if a woman had bred with them, we'd hog tie her down and force an abortion on her to prevent his genes from spreading. As a man, I would not put up with another man that got all the girls while there was nothing left for me. I wouldn't do it. I would just find the other men that had been dejected, and we'd go kill the men who were actually getting picked. In packs. Obviously we can't take him as one-on-one, but when it's 50 on 1, the alphas are going to die. We would have forced this gene to breed itself out of the human race a long time ago, historically, because, like I said, I would kill him to get what I wanted. I would remove him from the menu. We would have. I wouldn't have taken it lying down, because I'm not the spirit of. I'm not the type of person who just, puts up with shit like that. I fight. I am by nature a fighter.